Have you ever, I don't know, thought about how websites have gotten so, well, interactive? They're not just static pages anymore. They respond to everything you click.
Yeah, that's JavaScript doing its thing behind the scenes.
Ah, JavaScript. Okay, so on today's deep dive, we're going to use some stuff from MDN Web Docs to, explore the world of JavaScript, get ready for things to get interactive.
Think of this deep dive as a launch pad. We're going to break down those fundamentals. It's like giving you the keys to the language of the web.
I like that. Okay, so MDN Web Docs, our source for today, describes JavaScript as this super versatile programming language. The thing that makes websites dynamic and engaging.
Right. So you know how you need HTML for the structure of a website and CSS is there for the style, like how it looks? Well, JavaScript is like the brain. It brings it all to life. Lets the website react to what you do, make decisions. It can even store information.
Oh, okay. So it's not just about making the website pretty. It's about making it actually do stuff.
Exactly. And you know how every programming language has that hello world example? It's like a tradition. Our source material walks us through one for JavaScript.
Oh, yeah. It's like the first thing you learn in the coding world.
Yeah, exactly. So this hello world thing, it shows you how JavaScript can grab onto something on the web page, like let's say a heading, and then change what it says. And get this, it all happens right there in your browser.
Whoa, that's wild. So it's like having your own little web development studio right in your browser. Before we go any further, though, our source material does something really smart. It gives us this crash course on the basics of JavaScript. So what are some of the big things we're going to need to know?
First up, you got variables. Just picture them as containers. They hold different kinds of information. Could be numbers, words, even true or false.
Got it. So if I wanted to store someone's name, for a welcome message on the website, I'd use a variable for that.
Bingo. It's like slapping a label on a box and then, bam, you put the information inside.
Okay, that makes sense. What else?
So then you've got these things called operators. They're like symbols that let you do stuff with those variables, like add them together, compare them, change what's inside.
Ah, I see. So operators are like the tools and the variables are what you use them on.
Exactly. You got it. And you know what? Just like you need more than a hammer and a screwdriver to build something awesome, JavaScript has these things called conditionals. People call them if this, then that statements sometimes. They're all about making decisions in your code.
So for example, if a user types in their name, the website can be like, hey, name. And if they don't, maybe just a generic welcome.
Precisely. That's conditionals making your website smart. It reacts differently depending on what's going on.
This is cool. So we got our variables to hold info, operators to mess with it, and then conditionals to add some logic to the whole thing. What else do we got in our JavaScript toolkit?
Next up, functions. So think of these as blocks of code that have a specific job to do. They're like recipes. You lay out all the instructions once, give it a name, and then anytime you need to do that thing, you just call on that function.
Oh, I see. So instead of writing the same code a million times, you can just package it up neatly in a function and use it whenever.
Exactly. You're getting it. It's efficient, right?
Yeah.
Saves you time and keeps your code nice and tidy.
Very cool. So we've got our data holders, our manipulators, our decision makers, and now these reusable code recipes, these functions. Anything else before we unleash the JavaScript Kraken?
One last thing. Events. Think of it like this. On a website, events are things that happen, Could be a click, someone typing on their keyboard, even just the page finishing loading.
So JavaScript can listen for these events and then do something. That's got to be what makes it all interactive.
Exactly. You can tell it, hey, when this specific thing happens, do this other thing. Like maybe a pop-up message when you click a button or checking if what someone typed in a form is right.
Wow, I'm telling you, we have covered a lot. Variables, operators, conditionals, functions, and events. It's like we've built our own JavaScript band or something.
And now it's time to hear it play. MDN Web Docs gives us these cool examples. They show how to actually use this stuff to make things happen on a website.
Yeah, like that image changer thing. When you click an image and it switches to a different one, I always wondered how that worked.
Oh yeah, that's a classic example of JavaScript messing around with stuff on the page.
Yeah.
You're basically telling the browser, hey, when someone clicks here, swap this picture out.
Like a digital magician or something.
It's really not that complicated though. You use JavaScript to kind of grab that image, then you tell it to watch for a click and boom, you can switch the picture.
When you say grab the image, you mean select it with JavaScript.
Right. Everything on a website, you can target it, change it up, all with JavaScript. It's like giving everything a little name tag, and JavaScript knows exactly who to talk to.
So cool. A few lines of code and you get this whole visual thing happening. Speaking of cool, I was also really into that personalized welcome message example. You know those websites that are all like, welcome back, your name. Creepy good? How did they even remember?
That's the beauty of local storage. Websites can stash little bits of information on your computer, like preferences, settings, or in this case, a name, just to be friendly.
So they keep a file on me. Kind of creepy.
Not really. It's more like, you know those while you were out sticky notes? It's like that, not a whole file cabinet.
Okay, that makes me feel better. But seriously, how does it work? Like remembering my name?
All right, so they use this thing called setItem to save the data. Think of it like writing your name on a cookie jar, right? The browser takes that name and tucks it away in local storage.
So like when I go back to that website, it checks the cookie jar for my name.
Pretty much. When the page loads, it uses another function, getItem, to see if that name's still there. If it is, boom, welcome back.
I'm starting to feel like I could build a website.
See? Not that hard.
Yeah.
And our source material, they point out that sometimes things don't go exactly as planned. What if someone just closes that little name prompt without typing anything?
Oh, right. Website's got to be ready for anything.
Totally. That's why they show us how to add a little check, make sure there's actually a name there before trying to remember it.
Pick a bouncer for the cookie jar. I love how JavaScript is all about planning for stuff like that. So we swap some images, stash some info. What else can we do with our new JavaScript powers? It's amazing. We're like looking under the hood of the internet.
Right. We've only just scratched the surface, though. There's so much more to JavaScript than what we've covered.
Okay, see, that's what gets me excited. We started with the basics, and now my brain is like exploding with ideas. What else can we do with JavaScript once we've got these foundational skills down?
Well, the MDN guide, it dives into some really cool stuff. Like they talk about loops, which are like these instructions that tell JavaScript to do something over and over again.
So instead of writing the same code a bunch of times, you can use a loop to automate it.
You got it. They're super useful for like going through tons of data or even making animations. Then there are objects, which are, think of them as containers for keeping related data and functions all organized together.
Objects, huh? Those sound kind of tricky. What's a real world example of that?
Okay, imagine you're making a website for a library, right? You could have an object that represents a book. It can hold stuff like the title, author ISBN number, and even have functions like, I don't know, borrow or return.
Oh, that makes sense. So it's like bundling up all the information about a book into one neat little package.
Exactly. Makes your code way more organized and reusable, especially for big projects.
Oh, loops for automation, objects for organization. It's amazing how even these like basic things can be used for so many different things.
Right. Think about the websites you use every day. Social media, online stores, streaming services. JavaScript is behind so much of that, all those interactive parts.
It's like the silent force behind everything, making it all work.
Exactly. And here's a thought. What if you were the one writing that code, designing those experiences?
Whoa. Yeah, I like the sound of that. I mean, learning JavaScript, it's not just about understanding websites now. It's about like being able to create them.
That's the beauty of it. It's called front-end development, where creativity meets code to shape how we experience the internet.
This has been awesome. So we learned that JavaScript is like the magic ingredient for websites, right? We talked about variables, operators, conditionals, functions, and events. And we saw how those can be used to make stuff happen on a page, store information, all that good stuff.
And remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a ton more to learn about JavaScript, from fancy frameworks and libraries to really complex concepts that can help you build even more powerful web apps.
So for anyone listening, here's something to think about. If you could build any interactive feature into a website using JavaScript, what would it be? What kind of online experience would you create? Keep that question in mind as you dive deeper into the world of JavaScript, because honestly, the possibilities are endless.